Okay, so last week we spoke about Gaiva, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're continuing in chapter this is, in details of Nekiyus. So now we're going to talk about anger. Right? And the daber atom and akas. Now we shall discuss anger. Right? That's what you have it?
Mm-hmm.
And the daber atom and akas. So now we're going to discuss anger. So right, so it starts with gaiva and it continues with anger. Hina yesh haragzon. Right, so there's kas and there's roiges. I'm assuming, I didn't look this up, but I'm assuming ragzon is a much more of a wrath type of an anger, where it expresses much more outwardly.
Here translates this as rage.
Rage. Okay, sounds good. So, hina yesh ragzon shomro lov, that regarding whom it said, kol hakois ki ilu oived avodah zarah. Anybody who gets angry, it is as if he serves idol worship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not exactly what it says, because I don't think that's exactly what it says. Let's have a mental thing of Gemara really before, but Shabbos. Let's read a few more lines. Anyway, so he says that regarding a certain ragzan, it says kol hakoyes, somebody who gets angry, ki'ilu oived avodah zarah, it's as if he is idol worshipping. So that's how he understands. Again, the beauty of Ramchal, right? Again, and I'm seeing this now, I'm learning a little bit of the Astunas now, and the beauty of Ramchal is everything has its own place, right? So you have tons of Gemaras about anger, right? Tons of Gemaras about anger. There's millions of places where Gemara discusses anger, right? But Ramchal figured out, okay, this Gemara is talking about that level of an anger of a ragzan. That Gemara is talking about that level of a ragzan. It doesn't say anything. It just says anybody who gets angry is as if he's oived avodah zarah. This one gets angry, I don't know, whatever the case may be, whatever the Gemaras are, right? But in Ramchal's world, he knows every Chazal, and he figured out, so this Gemara speaks about this situation, that Gemara speaks about that situation, and it's all mapped out in this perfect symphony and harmony in Ramchal's world. It's the genius of this individual just, boggles the mind. But in any case, so who is this ragzan? V'hu hanichas al kol dover sheyasu neged ritzoyin. It's somebody who gets so angry about anything that goes neged ritzoyin, that goes against his will. Umismalei chema, and he fills up with chema. Again, we have so many different words about anger. Ad shekvar liboy bal imoy, to such a degree that his heart is no longer with him. Ve'atz osoi nivara, and his Eitza, his counsel, nivara, is destroyed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, assumption is that why is it kilu oived avodah zarah? Because he has no brakes. This person has no brakes. And so he says, V'hine ish kazeh kedai lehachiv olamolei. As such a person is ready to destroy a complete world. Right? The only thing is lacking is ability. Has he had the ability, such an angry person, to destroy the whole world? Because he has no seichel that controls him. Klal, at all. And so he's completely devoid of reason. Like all of the animals, that are toifos, that are chishni, meaning, right? How do you say chishni?
Predators,
right? V'alov ne'amar, again, regarding this type of anger, ne'amar toiref nafsho be'apoy. All right, you will tear your soul in his anger. He will tear his soul in his anger. Halaman chote azev aretz, right? Shall the earth become desolate because of you? And it's easy for him to transgress any avera in the world if his anger will bring to them. Elakasa, he has no other mania. Mania, I think means over here. He has no breaks. Again, no breaks unless his anger. Wherever his anger takes him, he will go.
He's bound to nothing. He's bound by nothing.
Right. Okay. Right. There's no breaks. Okay, so that's the Gemara in Shabbos. So according to the Gemara in Shabbos, talks about the extreme anger,
So if it doesn't fit that description,
and so that's why.
With the Zohar?
That's why it's over the Zohar, because he has no breaks. Only right. Okay, we'll get back to that in a second. Let's just read one more, just for a good day, just to understand what's another option. V'yesh kason rochik mizeh. There's another kason, right? And the person who is an anger. Is there a word for a kason in English? Is there another? Is there the word for kasan in Russian? Because in English, it's just a person who is angry.
Right.
But what about when he becomes осуществительное? На русском есть такое слово?
Грозный?
Может быть, грозный. Но это не тоже, это тоже прилагательное, это не существительное.
Right.
То есть when he is that thing, when he embodies this, right? То есть человек, который ворует, он вор. Right? Человек, который gets angry, he is... Да?
It's linguistic.
Не хватает слова, да? Не хватает слова. Anyways, okay, so that's kasan. Again, I'm not saying this for no reason. I think it's going to be meaningful. Anyways, v'yesh kasan rochik mizeh. There's a kasan that's different from this. V'hu shelo kol dover asher yivoyehu shelo kirtzoynei. Not that comes against his will. Right? He's not gonna get angry. He's not gonna explode in anything that goes against his will. In cotton bin godol. He's not going to get angry on a small thing or a big thing. However, once he gets there, right, when he gets to that rage, there's a huge eruption. It's difficult to get him angry, but it's also difficult to put him down, to appease him. V'gam zeh ravada, and this is also a real ra. Again, how do you judge the ra? How do you judge the level of evil? Because a great takola, a great destruction can come through his hand bizman hakas, when he does get angry. And once the damage is done, he can't fix it because it's too late. Okay? So again, so what's the difference between the first guy and the second guy?
One is at a peak of his fury.
So it seemed, right? What? So is there one difference or two differences?
So the first one we have discussed how difficult it is to take him off, right?
Right, but right, okay.
The other one is
it's the intensity of anger. You're saying the difference is the intensity of anger?
Could be on how easy he gets angry. The other one is he could take beating, right? But once you get him going, he's
So you're saying so is the A and B the intensity of, once they get angry, is the intensity of anger the same or not the same?
Not the same.
It could be the same.
Yeah.
But so how come the first guy we attribute a destruction of the entire world and over the Zohar, and this one a great, yes, a takol rabba, a great damage could come from his anger.
With the language about the first one was a lot more intense.
Intense, right?
Right. He's going to destroy the world, and this and that.
So my assumption is that the fact that he gets angry over, he explodes over every little thing, is a sign of how deep this anger goes, right? Right? Meaning it's much more, again, the question going back to that Kasan idea, it's much more intrinsic to his personality, his anger. It's much more profound, so it goes deeper. So the fact that he goes crazy over every little thing shows that the anger has penetrated him so much more, and therefore we attribute to him much more stuff, because we see that the intensity must be also. So it's not just quantity; it's also quality, right? No.
No.
Why not?
I don't know. No, I think that at least second one, at least he's trying for a while not to be angry. Then he loses it. Doesn't even try.
Okay, that could be. That's an interesting point.
But anger can also be the same. See, like one is okay, he gets angry right away, but the other one, you were arguing with his normal, and suddenly he explodes. Just because it suddenly is like may look like even worse anger, but just because it just suddenly.
So you agree?
I think
no, but you agree that A is a much more severe intensity of anger.
No, it could be same.
But you're saying
just
is,
one comes.
is that the reason for it is slightly different, which I think is better the way you say it. That you're saying it because the fact that he doesn't get angry all the time shows that he has some sense, some intelligence left in him.
Yeah. But I was saying it could be the same level. It's just one, it happens right away, you know what you get into. The other one, just because it suddenly happens, is looks like, oh, you're so angry, why so angry? But this one, okay, you arguing right away, start screaming at each other right away. And this one is talking, and suddenly guy explodes. It just looks to you like it's
I think
super crazy, but it could be the same level. It just this one starts right away screaming, and this suddenly just starts screaming. Just because you didn't expect it right away.
I'm not convinced.
It sounds like it's the same guy, only the level of gava and one is greater than the other.
I'm not convinced.
Okay,
so I'll ask you another question. Let's say I say to myself, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to rob a bank. Okay? I'm going to rob a bank tomorrow. But then tomorrow, I don't know, I go on my way to rob a bank, I get hit by a car, I go to the hospital, don't rob a bank.
Yeah.
Do I get the Avera as if I robbed the bank?
No.
Why not?
Because only with mitzvah. If you have intention to do mitzvah, you get
Very good. So therefore, if I said tomorrow I'm going to go to shul and daven, and then on my way to shul I get hit by a car and I don't daven, so do I get the mitzvah like as if I davened?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Right?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't remember.
Why is that? Right? So for mitzvahs, we have an idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitztaref machshavat tova l'maisa, right? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu connects a good intention, right? A good intention to as if I did it. Mashiach and if it's an avera, we say not that way. Okay? However, not Rashi says by God, that's only a kind of a for certain individuals.
Yeah.
For a Lavan, Aram Yovid Avi, it says that he wanted to destroy. We count it as if he wanted to do it. And same thing by Abraham Avinu Pukvakir. When he wanted to bring it, we count it as if he did it. Right? So what happened here? You're saying, oh, you get angry. Kilo Eved Aved Azara. No, maybe not.
He thinks much higher of himself than the other guy. That's my guess. That's why he can't control it. What do you mean? I am this great tennis player. How dare you talk about tennis to me?
Right.
The other one is okay. I play tennis. We can discuss tennis.
So you're saying the gaiva is different,
right? The guy, this level of self-importance.
I hear you. Let's get back to my question first. What do you say about my question? Why? How do we ever say? We have a number of Mamari Chazal that seems to say that if you do this, it's as if you did this avera. Again, maybe over there it's a different story, but over here, the reason why, at least in Ramchal's world, it seems to be saying the reason why we what's the word? Evaluate you as if you did Avodah Zarah is because since you have no control over your anger, so it's as if you did it. But why is that? Right? Other areas you don't, right? I want to steal, I'm going to go steal. Right, this guy never explicitly said, I'm going to do Avodah Zarah. We just say, had you had the ability to serve Avodah Zarah in your anger, you would do it. So we're going to give you credit as if you did it. Why should we do such a thing?
Is that what really he's saying? He's not saying if you had a chance to do worship with the Zorah, then you would do it. I mean, if you had a chance to kill, then might as well throw in killing and
yeah. So maybe you would.
And
well, he says so. He says "V'ina ish kazeh kedai lahachrir fa'olam olei." Right, as such a person is would be willing to destroy the entire world.
right, he would do it.
Im hoye cholos
But it's
biyadai.
But it's not. He doesn't say if he had a chance to bow down to an idol, he would do it. He just didn't have an idol handy.
No, it says v'hu kal vadei lavar kol minei averos shebu'olim
Okay.
im chamoisei tivyehu lahem. That's what he's saying. I think that's what he's saying. He's saying that the reason why is ki'ilo avodah zarah is because.
I think he's
because
I think he's completely rejecting the Yad Hashem and what's going on. That's why he's going all the way. Hashem, there's no Hashem. It's only me. That's why it's what is it, right? The other one still has some. He just out of control. He loses it eventually, but he's still reckon maybe somehow something's holding him off, and he realizes that it's from
I think
Hashem.
there's something like last week where was it a guy cursed Hashem out of anger, so anger caused him to do that.
yeah.
I think some kind that is there. I don't remember. It's just something in the back of my head, but I don't remember exactly what.
Right, so Gemara over here says that doesn't really have this lashon. Kilu. Everybody quotes this lashon, kol hakoyos, kilu oved avodah zarah. That's not what it says here. It says here like this. It says here, Rabbi Shimon ben Lozer, Rabbi Shimon Chilfa bar Igra, Sham Shum Rabbi Yochanan ben Uri, hamekareya begodav b'chamosoi, somebody who tears his clothing in his anger, v'amishaber kelev b'chamos, somebody who breaks something in his anger, v'mefazer me'oisav b'chamos, so somebody who throws out his money in his anger, Yehei b'einecha, he should be in your eyes, ki oived avodah zarah, like somebody who serves avodah zarah. Why? Shekach umnosoi shel yetzer hara. This is the profession. This is the habit, I guess, of yetzer hara. Hayom omer lo asei kach. And one day it tells you do this. Ulamacher omer lo asei kach. And the next day it tells you even more. Ad she'omer lo avodah zarah v'hoylech v'oived. Until it gets you to say, go serve avodah zarah, and you go and do it. That's the Gemara. Right?
Mm-hmm. Meaning you're on this path of where you can.
So let's
end up
just see what it
service.
says here. Actually, it doesn't say anything. And that's it. And that's the Gemara. So it seems like first of all, I would have said it's not because, simply speaking, it's not because he got angry. I would have said it's because he then went ahead and ripped clothing. Right? So, and we're saying this is the derech of avodah zarah, that first it tells you, you see your anger brought you to tear clothing, tomorrow it will bring you to whatever the other thing said, throw out all your money.
Right.
You throw out all your money, you're ready to lose anything. You're ready to lose anything, you're ready to lose avodah zarah to olam haba, olam haba. No? Hold on, I just saw something before. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. So that's what I would have said. That's what I would have said. But what I think the Ramchal is saying, I think Ramchal is saying something else. I think the Buddha hit it on the head. I think is that it really why isn't, let's go the other way around. Why is it that tomorrow I'm going to rob a bank, right? And I go do it, and I go on my way and get hit by a car, and I don't do it. Why don't we count? Right? Because the answer is you're a human being, you're a Baal Seichel, and at any moment your Seichel can say, you know what, this is not a good thing to do. I'm not going to do it. Right? It's a question of your Seichel. If you're a Behema, you put a piece of meat in front of it. It's not going to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to hold back. Right? I'm going to practice my self-control. There's no such thing. Right? The point is, the Seichel tells you that you still, as long as you have your Seichel, you can still pull yourself back. You can still have control over yourself. Right? And same thing for good. The point is, Seichel should bring you to good. Right? So if you have a machshava to do something good, why should your Seichel to prevent you from doing something good? Your Seichel should bring you. That's the logical thing to do. It should bring you to do it. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be mitzaref l'maisa. Right? In this guy, the whole point of Chamosoi is that he loses his Seichel. Right? That's what he speaks out. He says, V'hu sar tamamash k'chol ha'chayois ha'torves. He's like a predatorial animal. Right? He turns himself into an animal.
okay. And there's no turning back.
Right? So therefore, since he turns himself into a person who gets angry, becomes basically an animalistic. So then he forfeits this kind of seichel safety net. That's what he's saying. So the second guy is like what he said. The second guy, the fact that he doesn't get angry on every little thing shows that there is still an element of seichel. So therefore, we have no right to attribute anything and everything to him. Right? That's what it seems. Okay, let's move on. Fine, let's move on. So let me again, before we read the next paragraph, let me preface with another question, right? What section of Mesilas Yesharim are we in? Again, Nekiyus, right? Nekiyus is after Zehirus, right? But before Chassidus, right? That's what we figured out. And again, we have this ongoing question: where do we put these things? Certain things, if they're too lofty, you put them in Chassidus. If they're basics, you put them in Zehirus. Nekiyus is this in between territory where I think we are located, right? We all are located somewhere in Nekiyus. We're trying to dig deeper into ourselves and realize that what we thought yesterday wasn't so bad is really quite bad, and we gotta get over it, right? So how come he talks about all these midos? He talks about here in Nekiyus. Is it because by definition midos is a Nekiyus problem, or is it no? Meaning, the person is a Balgaiva, like the guys that he was describing in the previous section. That's Nekiyus. The guy is a total Balgaiva. That belongs in Zehirus, perhaps you would say, or maybe no. Midos is more internal. Anything that's more internal, it's easy. I can force myself to not eat this non-kosher meat. I know this is not kosher. I shouldn't eat it. I could force myself not to eat it. Right? With midos, I need real internal self-control. That already, by definition, belongs maybe in Zehirus or in Nekiyus. Right? That's the question. Right? Okay, you'll see in a second. So let's just see it.
It's not a logical thing, but it's a conclusion. It could be a process of a logical effort. I've developed this
Therefore, what? I'm not following.
I'm sure. Okay, never mind.
Right. So okay. Anyway, so let's see. So now our third kasan. V'yesh kasan pachas mizeh. There is a kasan that's lower level. Shlo yiches al nekala, that he's not going to get easily angered. Even if he does get angry, his anger is going to be minor. And again, he's focusing on this idea that he's not going to remove himself from the ways of seichel. However, he continues to keep his evra, his anger. In other words, his anger continues to simmer perhaps below the surface. However, of course, this one is farther from hefsed, from loss, more than the previous guys that we mentioned. However, still, certainly, okay, he still has not cleansed himself. He did not yet become a noki, right? Because he's not even a zohir. Because until anger is able to make a roishim, to make an imprint in him, lo yotza miklal ka'ason. He has not left the category of somebody who is a ka'ason. What do we see here?
So he is on the other side of this patch.
So this third guy, he doesn't easily get angry. Okay, and even if when he does get angry, it's quite minor.
That will sit in him.
Okay, but it will simmer in him, right? The fact that it simmers in him, again, this goes back to what I was saying before, that this we're talking about specifically a ka'ason, right? Not a person who gets angry, but an angry person, right? So, and if a person is an angry person, says the Ramchal, not only didn't he reach yet the level of Nekiyus, he's still not even a zohir. Right, so that seems to answer our question, right? So we're talking about midos in Nekiyus is what? Is just because we're going to discuss some distant levels of midos of Nekiyus, but really the crazy cases, the crazy Balgaiva case and the crazy Kas case, those really should have been mentioned in Zehirus, right? But he just didn't want to break it up like that, perhaps. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not sure why. Maybe because, again, maybe just the opposite. Maybe because, a crazy Balgaiva, everybody is disgusted by him anyway. So they know that this is the wrong thing to do, right? Or a person who gets angry at every moment, we know that this is not Yiddishkeit. I don't need the Ramchal to know that this monster is not a zohir. Okay, so he's just maps it out for us here, but really these levels he's telling us that they're not naki. There's nothing to do with Nekiyus. This is still not a zohir even. Okay, fine. And so but still this is quite the levels. He's saying that somebody who simmers any sort of anger in him, right, is basically is level A. Is all in the way in the beginner of Avodas Hashem. Okay, v'yesh oid pachas mizeh. There is even a smaller level. Right, it's difficult for him to get angry, and his anger does not destroy. It's just a minor anger. And how long does he get angry? For rega, just a moment, and not anymore. That how long is that moment? Meaning it's a moment that his kas is naturally gets aroused, right? Sparks up. But gam hatvuna tisar kenegda. But he's also his understanding, his logic kicks in the opposite direction. Again, Border was on the point, right? So his logic kicks in the opposite direction. That this level is difficult to anger, but also easy to appease. Right? Easy to appease. Now this is a good level. Why? Because the nature of a person really is is fruitful for anger. V'im hu mizgaber alav, and the fact that he's able to overcome it, right, to strengthen himself. Shafilu b'shas hakas atzmoi, that even at the time of his anger, lo yivar harbe, he doesn't let it burn up a lot. Mizgaber alav, and he overpowers it. Shafilu oisa hakas hakal lo yamoid bo zman godol. He overpowers it, that even that minor anger does not stay with him a long time. Ela yavar v'yelech, he goes away, right? Extinguished this completely. Vadai sheroy l'shvachhu, such a person is a praiseworthy. V'omru zal, and regarding this level, the sages said, Toile eretz al blima. Hashem hangs up the earth on blima, right? Blima on nothingness. What is blima? Ein ha'olam miskayim, that the world rests. Ela b'shvil mishaboilem piv b'shas meriva. Somebody who's quiet at the time of anger. Somebody who's quiet at the time of anger, again, how does he understand it? Right? What does it mean to be quiet at the time of anger? He understands it. Not only, I don't say the words to you to get you angry and to, and continue the fight. I'm quiet because I'm controlling my emotions. Right? I'm controlling my emotions. Even though his anger, he is, is aroused, but his with his strength he closes his mouth, brittles his mouth. Right. So the point is that the brittling of the mouth, I think, is symbolic of self-control. Right. So as long as his self-control is intact, right. So that's the level. That's the level of Nekiyus. That's the level of Nekiyus. That's the level of Mishabeach. Good? So far, so good? So here's the Chiddush. However, the midah of Hillel is above all of these. He was not makpid on anything. And not even a minor stirring of anger would happen in him. Zehu vadai hanoki min hakas mikol v'kol. That's a noki. That's a person who cleanses himself from kas completely. Again, that's a huge chiddush, right? I would have said Hillel belongs, somewhere on page 333. I don't know, right?
I think it's a bad thing.
Oh, wait. That's a good point too, right? Yeah, go ahead. What do you want to say?
Pinchas. There was Pinchas. If Pinchas were
Hillel,
yeah. We had so much fun,
right? Tolerance.
Yeah. You gotta just allow everything,
right? Okay, so we'll get that's for sure a good point. Okay, so we're gonna get back to that in a second. Let's just finish this. So v'hina afilu bar mitzvah. Stop. 1 second. Zehu vada hanoki min hakas mikol kol. Right. That's a complete cleanliness from kas. V'hina afilu dvar mitzvah his hironu zal shloi lichos. Now, even for dvar mitzvah, our chachomim said not to get angry. V'afilu harav im talmidoi v'havim benoi. And even if a teacher with his talmid and the father with his son, v'loi shelo ye'asrein. Now, it doesn't mean that he should not, give him musar, right? He should not rebuke them. Ela ye'asrein v'ye'asrein. He should rebuke them. Ach mibli kas. However, without anger. Kim lehadrich oisom b'derech hayashor. Just to lead them, to be madrich them on a proper way. V'akas sheyara lahem. And the anger that he shows them, yiyakas apanim, loikas halev. It's only external, fake anger, right? But not internal anger, not anger from the heart.
So when the parent yells at a child, he doesn't really mean it, right? But still, it's...
so this is not... Okay, let's get to this in a second. V'omer Shlomo, and Shlomo says, Al v'hel berucha cholichois. Right? Do not be hasty to become angry.
So it's okay to become angry. Just don't be hasty.
And don't mean it from the heart.
Doesn't matter. It's still it's okay.
No, kile evel yaharakas ve'omru b'shlosh dvarim adam nikar b'koiser b'kiser b'kasa. A person is recognized in three ways: through his drinking, through his wallet, and through his anger. So, okay, so let's discuss this for a second. So Hillel. So I'm going to say like this: this that people think that, oh, my son, my student, I'm not going to get angry. I'm just going to pretend like I'm angry, right? That's a false. Meaning Hillel can do that. Hillel, who has completely eradicated his anger, can then play around with faking anger, right? A regular human being, a regular person like us, when he plays around pretending like he's angry, he becomes angry. It's not an external show. It connects with his internals very much. So that's number one. Number two is, so again, this the Rambam really says this is he says it regarding with gaiva, and Ramchal says it with kas, right? Is that in every midah we're supposed to take the middle path, right? There's no such thing as like, oh, I want to do chesed, so I give away all my money, and that's not a good thing, right? Whatever. Everything has to be balanced, right? Except, Rambam says in Anova, in humility, you can go overboard. Mm-hmm. You can go more to the extreme of, extreme humility. Ramchal says that in terms of anger, right? A little bit of anger should be good, right? He says that if you have a little bit of anger, I mean, again, there's different Chazal. You're gonna have to figure it out, right? Chazal says that a Talmid Chacham that doesn't what's the word, take revenge like a snake is not a Talmid Chacham, right? Yeah, so you're gonna have to say, oh, that doesn't mean he's angry. That means he's doing Hillel's thing, So. Yeah, so what does it mean that a person, right? He's saying, right, the previous levels of anger were all about anger versus logic, right? Those were the two opposites, right? It's human nature to get angry, and the only question is, how much does your power of logic and self-control has the ability to hold it together, right? So the best ones was what he calls kosher lichois, b'noach lirtzois, right? He's difficult to angry. Why is he difficult to angry? Because he's rational, right? He doesn't let his emotions just run wild, right? He's rational. Since he's rational, that's why it's difficult to anger him. And once he gets angry, he doesn't let his emotion, even though it slipped through, right? This anger slipped through. He doesn't let it go crazy because he still has control of his emotion. That's right. Again, that's not how. Is that how? Let's say you've learned this Mishnah before in Pirkei Avos. Mm-hmm. Is that how you always understood this Mishnah?
More or less.
Yeah, because I didn't. I mean, I would have said. I understood it. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I understood it. That these are. The Mishnah more sounds to me like natural predispositions, right? Some people by nature, they're not easily angered, and they're pretty easily appeased. Is it because they have such self-control and logic, or is it just because their personalities are less, edgy, right? Some people, on the other hand, they're very pedantic and they're perfectionists, perhaps, and and they're, and so they get annoyed, they get frustrated with every little thing. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's not the same as I worked on myself and I have self-control and logic that is able to overcome my natural inclination to become angry. Those are very different things. Right?
There's both. I mean, some people are naturally easily flammable.
Yeah, well, why is that?
I mean, everyone's given
Does it,
different.
right?
Everyone's given a different hand.
Right.
Right? Some people just are, but some people work on it, some people don't.
Okay, anyways. So that's fine. Okay, so let's just... So it still though remains to me a question is why this Hillel belongs here. And why is it meaning, let me just make sure. Do we understand why having no anger whatsoever is a good thing? Is the best thing, I mean?
I mean, then you clearly see that everything is from Hashem, and you accept that that's the way it is. I mean, you see it as a reflection of what everything is happening is a reflection of His will, and you have no doubts.
Right. So again, I see a guy doing avodah zarah. Do I get internally angry, or do I say,
But it's different.
But then it's not in anger.
Yeah. Now I think
It's
as
not-
it says, Tommy Hoffman doesn't get angry because he's supposed to defend Torah,
Right.
not because he's insulted. He just have to stand up for. So that anger is not just because because of him.
that's beautiful, but okay,
So
the guy is about to attack your child. Do you get internally angry, or do you
yes,
self?
because they should.
I will pretend to be angry, but I really am fully self-composed. It's ridiculous, right? No?
Right.
It's not ridiculous.
But then again, it's
No,
not.
you're not getting angry.
Yeah,
but it's
that-
not-
You
Yeah.
get angry. Why is it different than you protecting your child? Is any different than protecting God's
Because-
honor in this world?
Because again, it's not anger. It's anger like, because of the child.
Yeah, but that's not an anger.
Yes.
I mean, it's not the anger that we're discussing here. The person gets inflamed. This is it's a defense mechanism. I mean, let's say you don't get angry, you don't express your anger, you're fully composed, but then you hit the other guy in the face and you protect the child with a smile, right? I mean, it's getting at that moment, hitting the guy or yelling at the guy is a defense mechanism.
Yes, nothing.
Of course it
It's different.
I don't see why it's different.
You're just defending a child.
So
It's,
the guy who
it's-
gets angry at every little thing thinks that
No.
somebody is threatening his
No,
sense of control, sense of situation.
No, defending your family, defending your children, it's like animal instinct level. You just do it.
That's the point.
Yeah, but anger, it's
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I would. It seems to me that it certainly there seems to me that there should be situations where that call for real, intrinsic wrath. You know, if you see somebody being over the avodah zarah, and so or somebody's, you know, you don't say, I'm sorry. You get angry. There's
Right, but
real Rishayim need to be angry. Why shouldn't you be angry?
right, but that's not the same anger as.
What makes it different? So the only thing is the same. I think it's the same anger. It's just legitimate. So that makes it okay. It's legitimate. But there's no qualitative quality. It's the same. It's the same natural impulse that you are allowed to indulge at that moment. It's like on Shabbos, you're allowed to have Eineg Shabbos. You're allowed to have enjoyment. Right? That's legitimate. It's legitimate.
Yeah, but can you imagine the God getting angry at?
Sure, very much so.
Yeah, but
You don't have to imagine it. It's very instant.
I just that like think of other situation with like legitimate anger, but it always goes like it's so like somebody does something against Torah, against laws. But I try to come up with one example when it's okay. Child is like when defending family, it's not anger. It's just you're just defending family. You're just you're killing person. You don't because you're angry. You don't want to kill a person.
Sometimes. Okay, I don't know. All right, let's do a little more. Okay, let's do a little more.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Was Shimon angry when he was killing Agag? I don't know. He just killed him. Or did he have to yell at him? Did he have to? Shmuel. When they have to make a scene, they just chopped him up.
I mean, it's a little different.
He did what he had to do because that's what needed to be done. So things that need to be done could be done without anger.
All right, you chopped him up pretty bad.
Right? But that's what had to be done. But he didn't. I mean, we maybe I just don't know. But it doesn't seem that he was. Look how he lost it and he yelled and.
Right, but at that moment, I mean, he was in captivity already. Agag was in captivity. It's not like he was doing something. There was no trigger at that moment.
Would it be different if it was in a battlefield?
I think so.
No, it's commandment, so yeah.
All right, let's keep going. Okay, next emotion. Hakina, envy. Yeah? Gam hi eina ele chesaron yidia v'sichlus. She too is only a lack of knowledge and stupidity. Right? So again, so that underscores the idea that Gaiva, Kas, and now Kina, they are illogical things. They're against logic, right? So envy is also against logic. Why? Because somebody who's envy does not benefit himself in any way. Neither does he make the other person lose out, right? So the Eino Ela Mafsid La'atzma, so the only thing who loses out is himself. A foolish person will die through his envy. However, there's somebody who is deep in his kina, and so his stupidity is great. When he sees anything good by somebody else, Yisashish be'atzmai. Yisashish means he will brood. Okay, Isashesh. He will brood be'atzma v'yidag, and he will worry, v'yitztar, and he will suffer. Ad she'afilu ha'toivah shebi yodo lo yihanu. That even the things that he possesses, the goods, the blessings that he has, he can enjoy them. Me'mitzar mashu roya bi'ad chaveiroi, from the pain that he sees by somebody else. Right? V'hu mashu amar lo ha'chacham urkav atzomois kina. That jealousy, envy is like what's the word? Decomposition of bones. Right, but there are others who are not on this level. However, they will feel some sort of a pain. Their spirit will cool off. When they see somebody climbing and receiving some benefit, unless it's somebody that he truly loves. Certainly those that he does not love so much. Okay, so again, this is I think hard for people to internalize, but in a certain sense, it's easier for us to see somebody, to go to somebody, meaning let's say again your friend wins a lottery, even if it's a close friend, but let's say it's not such a close friend. But let's say if somebody wins a lottery, it's deep inside. It's truly difficult for us to share that simcha. To share that simcha, you're going to say, me, of course I could. No problem. Let him win the lottery. I don't care. What do I care about? I'm great. I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy for him. It's not the same simcha. It's a logical simcha. It's not really an emotional simcha. It's not an emotional simcha. Because like what did he do to deserve this lottery? I should have won the lottery. Why didn't I win the lottery? In a certain sense, deep down, we want things for ourselves. Okay? And so, somebody has a tragedy, sometimes that's easier to relate to. Because you say, wow, poor guy, he suffered so much. Thank God it didn't happen to me. But, but really I feel for him terribly, but thank God it didn't happen to me. So there is, it's easier because it's easier to feel bad for another than to feel good for another. Okay? And that's a scary thought. Because logically we think, I love when people, I want everybody to be happy. I don't want suffering in the world. I want people to enjoy life and win lotteries and then go on vacations whenever they want and live in beautiful mansions and they all be happy. I mean, I just also want that for myself, of course. But, right? So meaning that, kina stems from the fact that we are constantly comparing ourselves to everybody else. We're constantly assessing ourselves because the truth is, again, it's natural. How else do we assess our situation if not by comparing it to my peers? Oh, my peers at this age, my peers all own a house. I don't own a house. What's wrong with me? Right? My peers have kids that are graduating from Harvard, and my kids dropped out of college. What's wrong with them? We're constantly assessing our success in comparison to the other people. So we make ourselves feel better. I don't have a house. Oh, but look at him. He's got, his kid is in the hospital. At least I'm not in his situation, right? So that's how we make ourselves feel better. But again, so there is a root of kina, as we'll see Pasuk. It says, Pasuk in hell says that everything. Okay, we'll see. I'm jumping ahead now. Okay, anyways, let's move on. Right, so kol shekain, right? So it's very hard for us to really empathize with somebody's good fortune, right? Unless it's like a really close friend, right? That's why it's such a big mila. Again, remember this story with Moshe and Aaron, right? When Hashem says, right, go and meet Yom Aaron and Yivasamach b'libo, and he's happy in his heart, right? That was the mila of Aaron HaKohen, that even though Moshe was passed over, so to speak, was promoted over him. Aaron was the leader, Moshe was promoted over him, but v'samach b'liboy, he was happy in his heart. Hashem testifies that I know that he's happy in his heart. That's the level, right? Certainly if he's a foreigner from a different land, right? These Mexicans are coming in and they're taking away our jobs, right? So it's, I'm not happy for them. I'm not happy that they're happy. I'm very, okay. V'tira, and you should see, it's very possible people will say with their mouths things, words, as if they are happy. They confirm his great good fortune. However, their heart is soft inside. Right? This is something that happens to majority of people. Now, they're not levels of envy, again, where they're constantly suffering from envy, what he called the previous level that he calls Rukavat Somiskino, that his bones decay, right? He's constantly seething with envy. No, that's not a regular person. That's not normal. However, they are not completely cleansed from kina. Or worse situation where my colleague, Balum Noser, right? Somebody who has the same profession, he's matzliach in it more than me. I have the same qualifications, and they picked him over me. Shikvar kol uman sone lechavri, right? And every professional kind of hates his colleague. V'kol shikein matzliach bo yoiser, certainly if he's successful more than him, mimenu. V'amnam, however, lu yodu v'lu yavinu, if the people would know and they would understand that right, the Chazal say that a person does not go over the boundaries of what belongs to his friend, even a hairbreadth, right? So in other words, there's nothing I can do, right? This guy got the promotion. I didn't get the promotion, so I'm sad and upset. No, that promotion was never going to be mine. That promotion was never going to be mine. V'akol kasher lakol me'Hashem. Everything comes from Hashem. Kifi atzosay haniflo, from His great counsel. V'chachmosay abilti noidas, and His wisdom which is not known. Hine lo'hoyu lehem tam lehitztar b'tovis re'im klal. There'd be no reason for you to be pained by somebody else's good fortune. And so the prophet testifies for the future, so that Hashem's that the Torah Yisrael should be complete. That eventually, in order for us to actually feel full happiness, Hashem is going to remove this midah from us. Right, so then we will completely, this midah completely disappears in the future, so that we will be able to enjoy our lot, even though we will see that somebody else's lot is greater. Right, even though he told us before in the beginning, right, that each person, kol echad, gets embarrassed from the chuppah of his friend. Right? If you remember the Ne'elam Haba, people will see that. Right? When motivates by his reasons, they'll get back to that. Okay? And so a person also who's going to be matzliach is not going to have to hide his success. Because nowadays, because we know that people don't really appreciate your success, people don't share their simchas too much. Right, so that's what the pasuk is referring to when the pasuk says that the kina, the envy of Ephraim, is going to be removed. V'tzar Yehuda yikaresu Ephraim lo yikanes Yehuda, etc. V'hu hashalom v'hashalva asher lemalach hashares, and this is a true peace and serenity that's only found by malach hashares, ministering angels. Asher kulam smeichim ba'avodosim ish al makoymai, that each of them is happy with their lot, with their avodah, with their purpose. And angels are not jealous of one another. Because they know the truth, and therefore they're happy for the good, and they're happy with their lot. Okay? Right, so I thought you bring the pasuk. The pasuk says, right, that Re'isi, Re'isi. It's called something Maisa Odam Hukinas Ishmerehu, right? That all action stems from envy, meaning everything that people do, deep down there's a competition. There's a competition embedded into everything that we do, right? Because again, it's natural, because it's all built on our constant self-assessment of other people, comparing yourself. You know, the question is, if you remove the midah of kina, I mean, how do you, without, meaning, there's nothing wrong. I mean, how else can you self-assess if not by comparing it to something else? There's no other.
Right.
There's no other assessment.
Right. There's got to be a way to do that.
Right? I mean, you could compare yourself, to your own potential, but you have to have then a very clear assessment of your own potential, right? So, if you knew you were gonna earn $1 million and you earned $1 million, okay? So you knew those are your expectations. Your expectations were met. Problem with kina is that you don't know how much, your earning potential, whether in ruchnius or in gashmius, and therefore when you earn less or more, if you earn more, you feel good by yourself. You feel like you exceeded your expectations. If you earn less, you have kina, you have envy. Why? Because you feel like you did below your expectations. Right? So if you remove kina, it doesn't mean...
You can compare the kina is desiring what the other guy has, right?
In a sense, yes, but he's talking about Nekiyus of kina, right? So there is the simple level of kina is, wow, he has a Lamborghini, I want that Lamborghini. Right? That's lo yisachma, can't do that, right? That's right. The problem is the other level of kina is, I also want a Lamborghini. How come I didn't get a Lamborghini? I don't want a Lamborghini. I'm okay with the Jaguar. That's still, that Jaguar that I want is also based on my kina. It's because at the end of the day, I'm what's wrong with me? I want a nice car. I don't have to have a Lamborghini. I'm fine with any nice car. But it all comes from, I calculated in my head, where do I want to position myself in comparison to my peers, right? So, if you obviously, you don't take away that. You can't take away that because there's no other way to assess yourself, right? So what do you do take away?
So the nature of the reactions, I want what the other guy has. We all fight that. We all try to reroute that emotion to something more constructive. Direct it yourself. I can do better, so I can get to that level of.
I'm not sure what you're saying, but it sounds to me like you're saying is that if you think deeply about physical things, I don't know about spiritual things. I think about spiritual things, about physical things. If you really think deeply enough, then you realize that physical things are really limited. So really, every dollar that I made is a dollar that somebody else didn't make. So in a sense, every Lamborghini that guy bought is a Lamborghini that I didn't get. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning, let's say there were only 2 people in the world.
Right.
That's it, only 2 people in the world.
Right.
You understand that every resource could either be mine or his.
Right.
Well, let it be mine. Every resource that he gets is a resource that he took away from me. Every resource that I get is a resource that I took away from him.
Yeah, but there's plenty for everybody.
That's who said there's plenty for everybody.
Yeah, but there's 2 guys and there's plenty of bananas in the trees.
Assuming,
Yeah.
let's say there's only 1 banana.
Okay.
Right? But if you realize again on a deeper level, We have unlimited wants. And there's limited resources, right? So we're all competing for limited resources. We might not see it.
Okay.
Right? I don't know for Ruchnias if it's like that. And Ruchnias are resources. It's my old question. But in Ruchnias, are Ruchnias resources also, quote unquote, limited?
Why would it be limited?
I mean, somebody has to be the top spot of Olam Haba. Somebody has to be the second spot of Olam Haba. We're not all going to be in the same spot. Right? So therefore, if I'm a bigger tzaddik than you, you're not going to be
the sky's
in
the
the
limit.
spot. The sky's the limit, yes, it's true. But that doesn't make a difference. That I could be a billionaire, and you could, but if you're a trillionaire, then I'm a poor person. Because relative to you, I'm a nobody.
Yeah, but then you're basing it all and comparing to the other to
Exactly,
me.
exactly.
But it's everyone's guilty of that. But that's not the model. That's not.
But there's no other way. That's precisely what I'm saying. Is that every self-assessment has to come relative to somebody else. No. Okay, yeah, these questions to me are more important than answers. I think for now, at least, I think they're interesting to think about. No? Yes? No? Okay. All right.